The year is 1485. Picture England, a kingdom weary of war, ravaged by the decades-long feud between the houses of Lancaster and York, the Wars of the Roses. Enter Henry Tudor, a man with a thin claim to the throne but a cunning mind and a thirst for power. At the Battle of Bosworth Field he faces Richard III, the last Yorkist king, in a clash that will decide the fate of England. Richard meets his end, and Henry Tudor, by right of conquest and a splash of convenient lineage, becomes King Henry VII, the first Tudor monarch. Henry VII, a pragmatist with a keen eye for financial stability, set about restoring order and filling the royal coffers. He married Elizabeth of York, cleverly uniting the warring houses and bringing a semblance of peace to the realm. Henry VII's reign, while not as flamboyant as those of his successors, was a masterclass in political maneuvering and strategic marriage. Henry VIII, the second Tudor king, was a man of contradictions, a Renaissance prince, a scholar, a sportsman, a ruthless tyrant, and let's not forget, a serial husband. His 6 wives were women of substance, intelligence, and ambition who found themselves entangled in the tumultuous web of Tudor politics and the king's insatiable desire for a male heir. Catherine of Aragon, the first and arguably most tragic of Henry's queens, was a Spanish princess, a devout Catholic, and the mother of Mary, the future Mary I. When Catherine failed to produce a surviving male heir, Henry's desire for a son led him to seek an annulment. This set off a chain reaction that would shatter the religious landscape of England. Enter Anne Boleyn, a woman of wit and intelligence. She refused to be merely the king's mistress and demanded to be queen. Henry, smitten and desperate for a male heir, broke with the Catholic Church, declared himself head of the Church of England, and married Anne in 1533. Anne's triumph was short-lived. She gave birth to Elizabeth, the future Elizabeth I, but failed to produce the much-desired male heir. Accused of adultery and treason, she was executed in 1536. Henry married Jane Seymour just days later. Jane finally gave Henry his longed-for son, Edward, but died shortly after childbirth. The story continues with Henry's 4th, 5th, and 6th wives, Anne of Cleves, Catherine Howard, and Catherine Parr. Each marriage was a whirlwind of political maneuvering, personal ambition, and in some cases, unfortunate endings. Henry VIII's pursuit of a male heir and his tumultuous love life had an unintended consequence: the English Reformation. By breaking with the Catholic Church in Rome, he triggered a religious revolution that would reshape the spiritual and political landscape of England for centuries to come. The Act of Supremacy in 1534 declared Henry the supreme head of the Church of England, effectively severing ties with Rome. Monasteries, once powerful symbols of the Catholic Church, were dissolved, their wealth and land seized by the crown. The Reformation wasn't just about Henry's marital woes, though. It was also a power grab, a way for the king to consolidate his authority and diminish the influence of the Church. The English people found themselves caught in the crossfire of this religious upheaval. Some embraced the changes, seeing it as a chance to break free from the perceived corruption of the Catholic Church. Others, deeply rooted in their Catholic faith, resisted, leading to rebellions and unrest. The English Reformation was a messy, often brutal affair, but it fundamentally altered the course of English history. Section 4. The Boy King and the Bloody Queen, Edward VI and Mary I. Henry VIII, despite his 6 wives, only managed to produce 3 legitimate children who survived infancy: Edward, Mary, and Elizabeth. Each would inherit the throne, each with their own religious and political baggage, and each facing the daunting task of ruling a kingdom still reeling from the aftershocks of the Reformation. Edward VI, Henry's long-awaited son, ascended the throne in 1547, at the tender age of 9. A sickly but intelligent boy, Edward was a fervent Protestant, guided by advisors who sought to further the Reformation. His reign, though short-lived, he died at the age of 15, saw the establishment of Protestantism as the official religion of England. The Book of Common Prayer, a cornerstone of Anglican worship, was introduced, further solidifying the break from Rome. Edward's death in 1553 ushered in a brief but bloody chapter in English history, the reign of Mary I. Mary, a devout Catholic and the daughter of Catherine of Aragon, was determined to restore England to the Catholic faith. Her efforts to reverse the Reformation and reinstate papal authority earned her the infamous nickname Bloody Mary. Hundreds of Protestants, deemed heretics, were burned at the stake during her reign, a brutal period of religious persecution that left a lasting scar on the English psyche. Section 5. Good Queen Bess. The reign of Elizabeth I, the last of the Tudor monarchs, inherited a kingdom divided by religion, plagued by economic uncertainty, and facing threats from abroad. She would rule for 44 years, a reign considered a golden age in English history, marked by relative stability, exploration, and a flourishing of the arts. Elizabeth, the daughter of Anne Boleyn, had learned from the tumultuous reigns of her siblings. She chose a more moderate path in religious matters, establishing the Elizabethan religious settlement, which aimed to appease both Catholics and Protestants. While officially establishing England as a Protestant nation, her policies allowed for a degree of religious tolerance, a remarkable feat in an age of religious fanaticism. Elizabeth, known as the Virgin Queen, never married, skillfully using her marital status as a political tool to forge alliances and maintain her independence. She faced numerous threats during her reign, including plots to assassinate her, rebellions in Ireland, and the ever-present threat of invasion from Spain, culminating in the defeat of the Spanish Armada in 1588. Section 6. The Legacy of the Tudors, a Lasting Dynasty. The Tudor dynasty, spanning just over a century, left an indelible mark on England. From Henry VII's decisive victory at Bosworth Field to Elizabeth I's golden reign, the Tudors transformed England from a war-torn nation into a major European power. Their legacy is a complex tapestry of political intrigue, religious upheaval, and cultural flourishing. The Tudors, for all their flaws and excesses, were masters of propaganda and self-promotion. They understood the power of imagery, using portraits, pageantry, and architecture to project an image of strength, authority, and divine right. The Tudor era saw the rise of a more centralized monarchy, the establishment of the Church of England, the expansion of trade and exploration, and the flourishing of English literature and culture. Section 7. Conclusion, Power, Politics, and the Price of Reformation. The Tudors were a dynasty defined by ambition, ruthlessness, and a remarkable ability to navigate the treacherous waters of power. Their story is a reminder that history is rarely black and white. The Tudors, with their larger-than-life personalities, their triumphs and tragedies, continue to captivate our imaginations, offering a glimpse into a pivotal period in English history.